Sophie Cunningham just needed one word to tap straight into one of the biggest debates in women's sports right now. One word, posted at the right time, right when emotions are already running high over money, power, and respect. And that word was a loud all caps yes. If you follow women's basketball, you know Sophie isn't the type to stay quiet when something matters. The Indiana Fever guard jumped into the conversation the moment news broke that Trinity Rodman had secured a record-breaking contract in women's soccer. It wasn't a long statement, it wasn't a rant, but the timing, the context, and the simple fact that she chose to publicly react during tense WNBA labor talks made it a lot louder than it looked on the surface. Let's start with what triggered that reaction. Trinity Rodman just signed a deal that puts her at the very top of women's soccer in terms of pay. Her new contract with Washington runs through 2028, and it makes her the highest-paid female soccer player in the world. That's not just a nice headline for the Washington Spirit, it's a landmark for women's sports overall. It's the kind of contract that turns heads in every locker room, not just on the soccer side. For months, there had been speculation about Rodman's future, where she might go, how much she could command, and what it would say about the value of women's soccer in the global market. By committing to Washington long-term, she sent a clear message that elite women's players can now demand both stability and serious money. They're not accepting short deals and soft offers anymore. They want commitment, security, and paychecks that reflect the impact they have on ticket sales, sponsorships, and TV ratings. That's exactly why other athletes were watching this so closely. When Trinity Rodman's contract details started circulating, it wasn't just soccer fans celebrating. Basketball players, volleyball players, athletes in all kinds of women's leagues were paying attention, because every time one of them breaks a financial barrier, it gives everyone else ammunition in their own negotiations. Sophie Cunningham clearly felt that. She took to her Instagram story and responded to the Rodman contract news with one word: yes. That's it. No essay, no explanation, just a very clear, very enthusiastic reaction. But if you know what's going on behind the scenes in the WNBA right now, that post hits differently. Because while Trinity Rodman is locking in life-changing money and a long-term deal in soccer, Cunningham and her fellow WNBA players are neck-deep in labor talks that could decide what women's basketball salaries look like for years to come. The WNBA and its players' union are in the middle of negotiating a new collective bargaining agreement, and this isn't just a quiet, routine update. This CBA fight is all about whether players will finally see pay and revenue sharing that line up with the value they bring to the league. Right now, there's a big gap between what the players want and what the league is willing to commit to. The Players Union has pushed for a dramatically higher salary environment. They've floated salary caps in the $10 million range or more, with average player salaries getting up near $1 million. That would be a completely different economic world for WNBA athletes compared to where things have been in the past. On the other side, the league office has come back with a proposal that looks much more conservative. Their idea reportedly centers around a cap of about $5 million. Salaries would still go up, but those increases would be tightly connected to league revenue and profitability. In other words, the league is saying, we'll pay more, but only as the money grows in a way we can clearly measure and project. From the players' perspective, that offer doesn't reflect what they see happening around them. They look at packed arenas, boosted TV numbers, sellout crowds when stars come to town, and all the buzz on social media. And a lot of them feel like the current compensation system hasn't caught up to that reality yet. They believe their commercial impact has blown past the structure of the existing CBA. So when someone like Trinity Rodman in another high-profile women's league lands a contract that shatters previous ceilings, it hits a nerve in a good way. It's a reminder that big money is possible when leagues and ownership groups decide to really back their stars. Sophie Cunningham's yes wasn't just congratulations, it read like approval, support, and maybe even a little challenge to her own league, all rolled into one. It also shows something important about this moment in women's sports. Athletes are watching each other across leagues more than ever. What happens in the NWSL affects the mindset in the WNBA. What happens in women's tennis or college sports shapes how everyone else thinks about their own worth. Nobody's living in a silo anymore. They're using each other's wins as leverage. While all that is simmering, the WNBA itself is trying to keep moving forward. The league has already released the full 2026 schedule, even though there's no finalized new CBA in place yet. That means the WNBA is gearing up to celebrate its 30th season, laying out every matchup, every travel date, every national TV slot, while technically still operating under a temporary status quo labor setup. The 2026 season, at least on paper, will look similar to what we've seen recently in terms of structure. It's set for 44 regular season games again. There are scheduled breaks baked in to allow players to participate in international tournaments, which have become an increasingly big part of the yearly calendar. And the playoffs are once again expected to stretch deep into the fall, running into November as the league tries to maximize prime TV windows and arena availability. From the league's point of view, putting out this schedule now is about stability and business planning. Teams need to lock in their arenas, and that's not something that can wait until a last-minute CBA agreement. Travel has to be booked. Broadcast partners want to plan their programming. Sponsors want to know which dates to circle for big activations. In a statement to Yahoo Sports, a WNBA spokesperson emphasized that releasing the 2026 schedule is a crucial step for everyone involved: teams, partners, broadcasters, and fans, so they can start organizing around the 30th season. But the timing isn't lost on the players. While this nicely packaged schedule is being promoted as a milestone for the league's 30th year, the athletes are still fighting for a bigger piece of the pie they're helping grow. They see the expansion teams, the bigger media deals, the packed houses, the international bus, and then they compare that to a proposed $5 million cap and a cautious revenue model, and it's hard not to feel like there's a disconnect.
That's why the Players Union isn't backing off its push for those higher caps above $10 million and average salaries closer to 7 figures. They're arguing that if the league is confident enough to lock in a full 2026 schedule, highlight the growth narrative, and lean into the anniversary branding, then it should also be confident enough to invest more aggressively in the athletes driving that growth. From a fan perspective, it creates a strange split-screen effect. On one side, you see the WNBA promoting its 30th season, talking about progress, expansion, and momentum. On the other, you have players openly voicing that they want stronger revenue sharing, better pay, and a CBA that matches the new reality of women's sports. That gap between public celebration and private negotiation is exactly where moments like Sophie Cunningham's post start to carry extra weight. Because that yeses isn't just about Trinity Rodman, it's about backing a model. It's about saying, this is what it looks like when a league really decides to pay its stars like the draw they are. It's a quiet but pointed way of reminding everyone that basketball players are watching those numbers too. If a soccer forward can become the highest paid female player in the world and secure long-term security through 2028, why shouldn't WNBA guards, forwards, and centers be targeting similar territory in their own sport? It also underlines how united female athletes are becoming in their approach to contract milestones. Every record-breaking deal, whether it's in the NWSL, WNBA, or elsewhere, becomes a reference point. Agents bring it up in negotiations, players cite it in interviews, fans use it as fuel when they talk about what their favorite stars deserve, and front offices know that once one league sets a new benchmark, the pressure spreads. So as the WNBA prepares for that 30th anniversary season, with a 44-game schedule locked in, international windows set, and a playoff stretch into November already penciled in, the real drama may not be on the court, it might be at the bargaining table. Can the players' union and the league find a middle ground that respects the business realities while finally giving players the jump they're asking for? Will the cap end up closer to that $5 million mark or move toward the $10 million plus range players have been proposing? One way or another, those numbers are going to define the next era of women's basketball, and they're not being negotiated in isolation. The Trinity Rodman deal is now part of that conversation. So are other record contracts across women's sports. Every time a league decides to push past what was considered reasonable a few years ago, it makes it harder for others to justify staying where they are. That's why Sophie Cunningham's reaction got traction so quickly. It captured what so many WNBA players are feeling in a way that didn't need a long explanation: excitement for a fellow female athlete, approval of a big money contract, and underneath it all, a clear signal: it's time for basketball to catch up. As fans, we're watching all of this in real time. We're seeing how women's sports are evolving, not just in terms of skill and visibility, but in terms of power and pay. We're seeing players become more vocal, more strategic, and more united when it comes to what they believe they're worth, and we're seeing leagues respond, some faster than others. The WNBA now stands at a crossroads in its 30th season. It has the talent, it has the audience, and it has the momentum. The question is whether the business side will fully reflect that. Trinity Rodman just showed what's possible in women's soccer. Sophie Cunningham answered with a loud yeses. The next move belongs to the WNBA and its decision-makers. Let me know what you think about all of this. Does Rodman's record contract put more pressure on the WNBA to deliver a bigger CBA for its players? Do you feel like the league is moving fast enough on salaries and revenue sharing? Or are the players right to push harder? And how do you see this 30th season playing out with all this tension in the background? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if you care about the future of women's basketball, keep an eye on these negotiations. What happens with this new CBA won't just affect one season, it could shape the entire direction of the WNBA for the next decade.